the Bay Area, California, comes Grammy Award-winning producer, hip-hop artist, and entrepreneur, Gennessee. Fresh off the release of his latest album, The Years of My Life Volume 3, featuring standout tracks like Family Tree and Mama, Gennessee is a prolific force in music who brought out multiple full-length projects this year alone as a producer and as an MC, including standout projects like Therapy in Real Time and Satoshi. Known for his versatility on the mic and behind the boards, Gennessee's produced for legends like Max Dre, Paul Wall, Baby Bash, and Cameron, leaving his mark on multiple eras and genres. Tune in to learn about his journey in music, his new album, The Years of My Life Volume 3, and what he's got coming next at 4 o'clock LA, 7 o'clock New York. Let's bring him in. Peace, peace, peace.
Peace,
Salute.
love one. Salute. How's it going?
Good, my brother. Hey, it's an honor to have you on. What an amazing career, discography that you've created.
Thank
In
you.
2025 alone, 2025 and 2024, that's most normal people's career. Right
Right
there.
on, man.
You
For
know what I'm
real.
saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Incredibly prolific, incredible on the production end and as an MC. I think maybe we'll open up and talk about the most recent album that you released, right? Which is The
Years of my
Years of
life.
My Life,
Uh-huh.
Volume
Yep.
3, right? Very introspective, very vulnerable album.
Right on.
And really kind of a lot of subject matter that's really relevant at this moment in time with everything that's been happening, in society, in
Facts.
politics. Yeah, that story. Talk to us about that album.
Yeah, like you said, it's very retrospective, very personal album. Had to really break down a lot of history, a lot of old stories, true stories. And yeah, man, it's just let the people know, what's up with me. Because, you could talk about yourself or you could do lyrical, miracle, but, you can kick them bars that everybody loves when I do that too. But sometimes, I just want to give them that real and show them who I really am. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is volume 3. So in this, in I guess this kind of subcategory of your discography,
Right.
what is the thought behind it when you kind of set off in doing volume 1 and then ultimately now the most recent edition, volume 3 of, how you were gonna let us in.
Right, yeah. So The Years of My Life, Volume 1 was my first album I ever released in 2000, 25 years ago. And yeah, it had like the Wonder Years. I flipped the Wonder Years graphics on the cover and was selling the CDs right out of my trunk and performing a lot at that time. So it was really cool, just to bring it back full circle 25 years later, show them, life hasn't been all perfect.
Yeah.
Got to show the good side and the bad side and take the good with the bad,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that a lot of times, hip hop has kind of like two very contrasting aspects to it. One is how
Right.
it was born, right? Social economic adversity.
Yes.
People used records and they jerry-rigged turntables and amps and speakers and stole electricity from the, lampposts and
Facts. Park jams.
created
Yeah.
a, yeah, the park
Mm-hmm.
jams. And then
Mm-hmm.
you've got the champagne popping and the suits and this
Right.
very other side of hip hop. But when
Totally.
people talk about their stories, the adversity they've gone through, or in this newest edition, Volume 3, with the family struggle, the shoulders of the giants that we stand on,
Right.
right? Our ancestors, where we
Right.
kind of go in. Everybody could relate to that, and you did
Right.
that on tracks like Mama and
Right.
Family Tree.
Yes. Right. Right on. Yeah. Family tree, it was important for me to show, like, my ancestors, my bloodline, basically from when they first came to America up until now, and just the journey that they took from Spain to Colombia to Brooklyn, New York, and then I took it even further out to Cali, so, and who knows where my son's gonna take it, it's
Yeah.
just keep going. Yeah.
Share with us, for the people that don't know a little bit about that story of yours, of your family, but then the New York roots, and then the coming to California.
Right. Right. So yeah, I was born actually in Berkeley, California, up here in the Bay Area. That's why it's always been, my home, and I always, just feel resonate with the land out here. But yeah, so I moved to Brooklyn. I moved to New York when I was 2, and then moved back to Cali when I was 3, and then moved back to, yeah. So I've been back and forth my
Yeah.
whole life. I ended up coming back to Cali when I was 19 years old for good. So, and that was 30 years ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, so now you've been more time in California and the Bay Area than anywhere else.
Exactly. But it was definitely great to be able to get influence from, the East Coast golden era when I was out there and, 90 through 93 in the mix with, with my crew and everything.
I
So,
mean, that is the era. That's
yeah.
the era.
That's it, bro. But then I got to move to Cali, and in '93, where Souls of Mischief came, and it was, E40 was, pioneering independent, selling out the trunk, and Too Short was out the trunk with it. Yeah, so it was a really good time
Yeah,
to be around the Bay Area at that time as well.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And Tupac, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Pac. Yeah. He was right there. We were crossing paths. I never met him personally, but a lot of my homies came
Well,
up
and
with
that
me.
and that
Hmm.
story, that New York Bay Area story that he shares.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. MC New York.
Yeah,
Yep.
facts. Yeah,
Right.
it's really dope because kind of parallel to your own journey as a hip hop artist, as a
Yep.
producer, your own discography, all the
Right.
artists that you've helped and the different groups that you've been a part of, in addition to your solo work, right?
Oh,
In addition to all that, your life kind of follows a hip hop journey. You could just follow like, you know what I'm saying, like hip
absolutely.
hop and
Yes.
the way you crisscross.
Yes, I got to tour in Europe and see a bunch of stuff. I used to call myself the Forrest Gump of hip hop, but then my boy AL Skills, he took it. He really is too, and he did a video and a song called that. So I got to give it up to him. He's the real one. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? I definitely crossed paths with everybody, man. Been blessed to be able to work. There's always 1 degree. I'm 1 degree away from anybody in the industry. Always. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. Right.
So this is volume 3. It's fresh. It's still got the new car smell. Do you
Yes.
plan on like continuing this series? Because you're so prolific, right? That you got like so much material coming. Do you want to
Right.
continue, this series, or are you just, you just got more stuff coming and
Yeah, the
you'll
years of
see
my
what
life,
happens?
it might be done. That might have been it. I mean, who knows? Maybe do one more, but it's not like I'm gonna stop talking about my life, and
Yeah,
because that's going on in every album, every song. It's always, about my real journey. So, it might be called something different, but they're still gonna be getting the years of my life, volume 50. Yeah, I actually got an album that's coming out soon, called "Running on Empty," and it's the same thing. I go back to to when I was young and struggling when it was just me and my mom, and back to moving to Brooklyn, running around in the streets, and then coming to Cali and doing the underground hip hop thing. So I cover it all in that new project that's coming up as well.
as much as you're willing to share with us, you know what I mean? Because I know that it's not released yet, but running on empty,
Yeah,
do you have like a time frame? Can you share with us?
yeah.
Because
So
what's interesting about
that's
you, yeah,
That's 2 albums away from now. Right now, my next album I got coming up is called Bliss Park, and I take it back to Brooklyn on this one. So Bliss Park is the park in Brooklyn where we all used to hang out. We'd go and hang out
it's
sometimes, and my parents
called
actually.
Bliss Park.
It's called Owl's Head Park, but the people that know call it Bliss Park. Exactly. Yeah, you go there and get blissful, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah. So that's actually coming out on the 30th, June
Oh, that's
30th.
dope.
Yeah, exactly. Couple weeks for Bliss Park. And then after that's running on empty. Yeah.
So for Bliss Park, sometimes you produce them, sometimes you work with other producers. There's
Right.
Noble House, right? So there's in-house talent
Yeah,
also. What
exactly.
talk to us about Bliss Park? Who's on production?
I do a majority of the production. My homie TAZ, big shout out, Thiz Dragons. He's the one that produced my whole album, Therapy in Real Time. He got a couple on there. Shout out to Don Lowe. Don Lowe's always, I always try to get Lowe involved in all of my projects as well. He always masters all of my music and stuff, so he has his hand in everything I release as well. And shout out to Verb One, another producer that I work with. Yeah, those are like my three dudes that I go to outside of myself to go
Yeah, I
get
mean,
some beat.
between
Yeah,
yourself and those three producers, like,
exactly.
there's too many
Right.
beats.
Yeah. Nah. No. Yeah. I get blessed. I'm definitely spoiled.
That's
Mhm.
dope. That if you could share with us, now that I went ahead and opened the topic, Noble House. Talk to us about
Yeah.
the goal, who it's really kind of, the main players right now are, and the vision.
Right. So Noble House is a family. Like before anything, we're just a bunch of kids that were making hip hop in their late teens, early 20s that linked up together and never let go of each other. We just always been family ever since. So we always try to keep that frame of mind. You know what I'm saying? Even though we're a business and a record label and all that, like we always, that's my brother and that's my sister when when we hear me say Noble House. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we got a bunch of things in the works. Oh, sorry, we got Little Flower Nasty, new project, hopefully. Kayla D, new album coming out. Working with a bunch of artists, my homie K-Loke, Zen How, Sha Nookie, Straight Paper, all the family. Jazzo the Juggernaut, my boy Polo Ness. Yeah, we got a
A
bunch of cool
lot of
stuff.
talent,
Shout
a
out
lot of talent right there.
Eclipto, yep, and Five Star, Double Life, Street Reporters, Los Gemelos. We got a gang of stuff in the shoot. Shout out Elronius, MC Infinite, Bazooka Joe Gotti. Yeah.
That's a lot of very well
Oh
known
yeah, Mikey Mo. Mikey
MCs.
Mo. Very excited about the project I have with him as well.
That's
Hmm.
dope. When the news got out, when I kind of started announcing that you were coming on the show, I mean, I had people writing me like, "Oh, I got an album, Jazzo wrote me album coming up, straight paper," like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
uh,
nah, the brothers, man. Yeah, I
yeah,
got full projects going with all the cats that I named. Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
dope.
Hmm.
There's a joint that just dropped with straight paper.
Man, only built for Ralph Lauren. That album's a gem.
Yeah,
He's one of my favorite MCs, man. For the last 30 years, he's been in my
wow.
top five for forever. And he
Yeah,
stay,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
This is the straight paper era. There's the icon era,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's when he was icon. Exactly. I see on man. We go back to Brooklyn.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my
That's dope.
brother right
Shout out
there.
Jazzo the Juggernaut, and there's a project coming out with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, really excited about that. He just announced that recently, so I'm really, really juiced and honored to be able to work with Jazzo. We got a lot of the same homies, and
Yeah,
he just seemed like a real cool spirit, like one of the homies.
ab-
You know what I'm saying? So I had to hit him
absolutely.
up, like, "Yo, let's get something cooking."
That's dope. Can
Yeah.
you share with us, given the impact that you've had on so many different artists and your own catalog, and the different, not only eras of hip hop but also genres, right? Because you
100%.
have experimental R&B, hip hop, different styles of hip hop. What are you producing on now?
Absolutely. I still got my MPC, yeah, cooking, but I make most of my beats in Pro Tools with Serato sample and the MPC simultaneously. So that pretty much gives me all the capabilities to, change pitch, key, and match everything up the way I feel. And yeah, so I'm still digging in the crates. Yeah.
For
Mm-hmm.
for producers, who look to people like you that have
Right.
the experience, the years, what are you getting from an MPC that you're not getting from, Serato Studio, and what are you getting from, the Pro Tools Serato that you're not getting from an MPC?
Totally. Well, the MPC, you have two different versions. You could have the standalone version, which is like the really old school one, which is a mostly analog machine, or you have the new ones that come with the programs and the software that, pretty much update the MPC to be able to compete against something like Serato,
Yeah.
because you have all the capabilities of, I used to spend hours having to make all my little chops on my MPC put them all on the different pads. Nowadays, you know, you press one button, it's like, bloop, they're
That's
all there. You know, you can adjust them
crazy.
the way you like them. But yeah, so you know, I'm one that takes advantage of the new technology. I'm not like one of those old heads that be like, no, I gotta be analog, gotta be this. Nah, I like to move with the times.
Trimming the snare, trimming the kick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I like to take advantage because you know, time is the most important thing. You know, so yeah, I like them to bang things out. That's how I'm able to release so much music. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, and make sure everything's tight. Is because it's just one after boom, 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 one after the other. You know.
Yeah, yeah. And then in the, so with the actual pads,
Right.
versus working on the screen with Pro Tools and
Yeah.
Serato, is there something that you like to use the computer for this and
You
the
definitely
pads for
get a
that?
feel when you pat, you know, especially it's called boom bap music, you know, when you
Mm,
can actually boom bap instead of just clicking and dragging, you know what I'm saying? I know some producers like I used to live I moved to LA for like 5 years and lived down there working on stuff.
dope.
And all the producers out there, you see people build a drum loop and they're not even touching anything. They're just dragging it and they know exactly where to place it on the grid. It's like, wow, like you know
Right.
what I'm saying? And like that's why I like the MPC because you could feel, you know, you could feel
Yeah,
it when you're tapping
the
it.
swing, you can feel the swing.
Right. And you know, it always had a little sound. It always had a little thump. You know, with Pro Tools, when Digio One first came out, Pro Tools, like it kind of made things a little thin and crispy, a very high end frequency.
Yeah.
And the MPC still had that punch, you know,
Yeah.
still had that thump. So that's why we always, you know, trusted the MPC. Like, I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for Roger Lynn. Believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dope, bro.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you, man, dropping so many gems. I'm
Of
sure there's a lot of producers
course.
that'll get a lot out of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, of course, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, I'm an open book. You already know.
In 2025, there've been, multiple projects that you've dropped as an MC and
Mhm.
as a producer. Another one that you dropped as an MC is the joint that you just mentioned with Taz, which is Therapy in Real Time, right? Talk to us about that joint, because that one also is introspective.
You see, yeah, I mean, most of my music is. That's just how I'm built. You know, growing up listening to Nas and Jay-Z and Wu-Tang, and you know what I'm saying. They showed me that it was okay to talk about the stories
Yeah.
and the things that we go through. You know, because that at the end of the day, what it is for me is therapy, and you guys are watching it in real time as it happens. You know. Yep. So like that's the whole concept of that. But and yeah, man, I swear when I write my songs, I cry. Like you hear some of my topics that I talk about, they're
Yeah.
very deep and touching and emotional. And you know, I cry when I write it, when I record it, and then you know, I'm stronger after.
It's
It's
out.
you know, it allows me, yeah, to be vulnerable, show my true authentic self, and I just feel good after that. You know, how do you not feel good after spilling all the beans and spilling the tea? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and so on that one with TAZ,
Yeah.
um, the he completely produced that project.
Yes,
And
100%.
you've got more coming with him, but was that the first project you've done with him?
It is. Taz is actually one of my great friends for over 25
That's
years.
dope.
Yeah, he's a very respected engineer and producer from the Bay Area. Although you'd never heard of him, maybe never heard of him because he's under the radar. He's done, you
Yeah.
know, he's been in there, you know, from the Mac Dre days. Fizz main engineer, recording all this classic stuff that's like Bay Area iconic songs that went through his studio.
Wow.
So, you know, I always had massive respect for Taz. So, like, and he always had mad love for me too. So, yo, he hit me up. I was like, yo, what's up? Leslie send me a beat. And then, man, it's just like 15 days in a row, he sent a beat and I did a song.
Can you share with us, because you're so prolific,
Yeah,
that process,
right.
that as an MC, right? Because there's the production process, but
Yeah,
I think that, it's not uncommon for producers in hip hop to maybe do like a beat every day or two or three, right? That's kind of like the rhythm and
totally.
right. But for MCs, the lyrics,
Yeah,
for them to be as fast as you are and with complete songs. I mean, not
yeah.
little 8 bar. I mean, you're
Nah,
like
big
complete,
hooks, big,
yeah, the whole
yeah.
everything with singers. You got
Yeah.
singers and I mean everything's going on. Can you talk to us about your writing process and how you make songs?
I mean, yeah, starts with an extreme passion for it. Like I live and breathe and I like love. This is, I've been blessed to be able to work on music every moment of every day. So, it's something I don't take for granted. And I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, then I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna be the best at it, So I work hard but my process in writing is simple. I mean, it changed throughout the years. We used to have our pen and pads and notebooks, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But nowadays, like I'll get the beat that I want. I'll make it in Pro Tools. I'll bounce it to an email or airdrop it to my phone. I'll play it on my phone. I'll load up my notes app. I'll start writing, come up with some ideas. Sometimes I'll have Pro Tools open. I'll be sitting here and have Pro Tools open, and I'll hop on and I like already have my cadence, my rhythm, my pattern that I want to use because I'm all about patterns
Yeah.
and you know what I'm saying, use of space and negative space. So sometimes I'll have my pattern. I'll just throw the headphones on and start going. And sometimes the words will make sense, sometimes they won't, but sometimes I'll just mumble them and then I'll go and I'll play that back over and over.
Right.
It's like I learned that technique when I was writing pop songs and R&B songs in LA and stuff. So it's just that's what they used to do. They used to throw the auto tune on me and just let me just go. You know what I'm saying? And freestyle.
Yeah,
So
you're
I
looking for
come up.
something to
Yeah,
stick. You're looking for the magic.
exactly. Once I hear something that's locked in, I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm locked in. The words come easy. I was always a writer before a rapper and everything. Like writing, was always my thing in school and telling stories. And I wrote a book 20 years ago that I'm actually about to release. Yep, so I'm excited about that as well. And but yeah, so being a writer is easy. So I just write the stuff, then recording. I rehearse it a bunch before I do it, so I'm usually like one take, Jake, couple takes, and it's done. I mix everything myself. So, I sit there for 10, 15 minutes afterwards, get my voice sounding crispy, which I know how to do because I've
Yeah.
been doing it, 4 times a
Yeah,
day
you know
for
your
so many weeks in a
settings. You
row.
know how you want
So I
everything.
can do it without listening. Like I can do it in my sleep. I do the same thing every time, almost on every song. A couple little things call for different things, but for the most part, I'm just running the formula.
Yeah.
Running it
Yeah.
through the formula.
That's dope, bro.
All
That's dope.
right, crazy.
So many gems star with the gems. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you already
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, bro. I want to make sure because the title, the whole concept really like stood out to me. That we talked in depth about at least one more project that you've released this year because there's
Right,
so many, right? Between
right.
producer and is the Satoshi joint. I love the concept. Um, I'm on that shit too. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So
Yes.
if you
It's
could
all
talk to us
about
and unpack it,
frequencies and vibrations, man. You already
yeah.
know. Yep.
Talk
Yep.
to us about
And
the Satoshi project.
yeah, of course. And man, yes, just so it's this balance between the new technology and the new earth. It's an analogy. You know what I'm saying? It's like a metaphor.
Yeah.
It's a cryptocurrency is the new way, and your earth that you create every day, man. You got choices to make, and those choices, they affect the world that you live in. That's why there's all these different parallel realities all around you. It depends on which one. If I go walk away from this interview right now, my life goes into a different direction. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so you have the ability to put your life where you want it. That's basically Satoshi is about. It's just about that frequencies, energies. I was a hippie kid growing up. So it always
Yeah.
kept that energy going.
Yeah. The idea of Satoshi in a sense almost like as a metaphor for um like a philosophy of looking at life.
Right.
Um I want to make sure that I don't put my spin on it, right? What if you could kind of unpack, what you're talking about in the album in regards to like the world view of Satoshi, because in a lot of ways you embody the you
Yes. I'm
personify.
the I'm the myth. I'm trying to be the mystery behind like the man that nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? And here he is. He's returned with the keys to the universe, the knowledge of self, and the mathematics, and you know what I'm saying? Elevation and synchronicity, and vibrations, building with your people. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's it. He's, you know, he's got the glow. He's like the golden child, and you know,
Yeah, no,
exactly like Bruce Leroy in the Last Dragon type of shit. He got the glow, you know.
yeah, the it's so amazing. I think the impact that the Bitcoin has had on the
Yes,
world, right?
yes.
That even now, like nations, like the United States is adopting it as like a
Mhm.
sovereign wealth fund. And you know,
Exactly.
it's really interesting to see something that like I mean, just 4 years ago was it's still kind of unknown, right? I'm
Yeah,
always
yeah.
surprised by how not
It's
mainstream it is.
still a baby. That's the scary part. It might be at 100K, but it's still a baby. It's like only, you know, it hasn't been around for too long, and it's got, and like you said, a lot of the nations are adopting it. So
Yeah,
it's definitely, it's only up from here.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. No, I find it fascinating. Are you thinking about unpacking and maybe doing like more Satoshi work in your discography?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's why, like, I put together like albums, like kind of like two or three at a time. I'll create a bunch of songs and then make folders. I'll come up with a title for one, and then I'll just start feeding each folder, you know? That's how I'm able to have like successful succession of releases after another, because I'm working on them like two or three at a time. And then that being said, I don't like to do all three the same kind of style, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So one of them kind of might be more lyrical, one might be more introspective, one might be more, you know, a little bit more gangster or West Coast, you
yeah.
know. Yep, it depends on how I'm feeling that day. Well, you know, exactly what kind of vibe I'm in.
But that's so interesting that what you just explained, you know, because you probably developed that over, you know, you're in the game now so many decades, right? But
Right.
that ability to like create folders with concepts and then like, you know, you'll produce a beat or you'll get a beat and then you put together the song and you're like,
Mhm.
oh, this is the Satoshi, and it'll go in
Exactly.
there.
Like Don Lowe sent me this feed a couple of days ago, and I was like, oh, that's fire. And I wrote something to it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is perfect for this project that I'm working on. Like, you know, I try to really fit it together like a puzzle, because I really like to be very conceptual with my releases and
Yeah,
my albums. You're never just gonna find a collection of songs that I just threw together or nothing like that. Like they're always gonna be very relative to the topic and the title of the album, and then I'll do the skits that go along with the topic and stuff, you know, do that, all the graphics of that whole thing. Like if I'm dropping my album Shogun, you know, you're going to see all karate flicks on all the album covers. You know, I really like to go deep into being conceptual.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. That's dope. That's really and I appreciate you sharing with us how you're putting it together because I think that as a consumer, you know, people are just like blown away by the artist that they love, and they're like, how is he dropping? You know, how does he do it? And you're kind of taking us a little bit behind the scenes of like, look, I'm working every single day. What
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
seeing is the end product of
Right.
many months, many years of work but I got lots of these going on. So sometimes they pop
Exactly.
off like that.
It's like, you know, I got the machine rolling, the machine's all greased up and the engine's going fast. So, you know, it's like there's no setbacks, you know, it's everything just kind of flows. So I just keep going with it, keep going with the energy.
That's dope.
Yeah.
The you know, you mentioned coming out to LA and working out here for a few years
Hmm.
as a songwriter
Hmm.
working on pop and more kind of like commercial music.
Correct.
And you know, we could see the Billboard plaques in the back. You're a Grammy Award-winning producer. Let's talk a little bit about the accolades. You know, if you could take us
Of
on the
course.
journey of
Yeah.
you know the work as a songwriter, the Grammy, the Billboard, all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So me and one of my best friends, Kayla D, she's also an incredible artist. We got signed to Brill Building, which is a publishing company. There was actually a really small boutique publishing company at the time when they signed us. And they signed us to a development deal through Cobalt. And they had us writing songs for everybody, Britney and Rihanna, and I mean, anyone you can name that was doing big things at the time, Lady Gaga, yeah, or just everyone, yeah, Adele, but yeah, so it was like it was a great journey, and I don't regret any of it because I learned a lot, and I still apply a lot of what I learned in there, and like you said, I got some accolades and everything, but I didn't win the Grammy until I came home back to the Bay and started doing hip hop again. That's when I won the Grammy.
That's
Cause I
crazy.
let it go. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm done chasing this whole Hollywood stuff. Like, I need to get back to hip hop. My son was born around that time, and it really kind of just opened my eyes to to get back to who I am and who I love. I felt like in LA I was kind of losing myself a little bit. I
Yeah,
wasn't rapping as much. I was chasing checks, and I wanted, I was trying to provide for my family.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, that was always our goal, was to blow up and get money and buy the house on the hills, and you know what I'm saying? So I was kind of just doing the formula that was laid out in front of us, but then I realized that, being who I am that got me there in the first place, which was making hip hop beats and rapping, which was what got me, signed in the first place. I might as well just go back to that.
yeah.
And that was like 2020, and that's when I dropped Street Reporters, and then it's just been nonstop ever since. That's like 20 something albums later since then.
That's so
Yeah.
dope. Talk to us about the Grammy.
So when I came home, I was sending beats to my homies, the Alphabet Rockers, which are an amazing group from out here in the Bay Area, and my buddy Tommy and Kaylin, like they're the main parts of it, and they just had me sending them beats. I did like 4 or 5 songs with them, and they loved them, and they're like, "Yo, we got nominated for a Grammy." Boom, didn't win. 2 years later. I kept working with them, making beats. 2 years later, yo, we got nominated again. And then, like, we're all going down to LA. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go. We're going to win it this year. It's ours. Let's go. And we went down there and won it. And it was just like, it was the greatest feeling. I was just bawling, crying the minute they said that we won. It was like a real surreal moment, like something I felt I worked my whole life for. And I got to collect, even though even though it's a superficial trophy, it's,
Yeah,
feeds the ego and all that. But, that's always what we wanted, man. And I got to bring it home to the Bay, to my people,
yeah,
that I told them I was going to get it. I told them, for 20 years.
yeah.
Yep. And it was definitely a manifestation come true.
That's so dope, bro. Congratulations
All right.
on that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome,
Appreciate you.
bro. Yeah.
Yes,
The
sir.
also you've had Billboard, right? You've been on different Billboard charts.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to us about some of them, right? Some of the ones that kind of stand out to you.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, Mac Dre, even though it's number 90, that's my favorite
That's
one,
Mac
right?
Dre.
That's my favorite one right there. Exactly. I got to work with Mac Dre in my studio and a few times, and he was just an amazing, funny, great artist. And his first time he came to my house, he bought 10 beats of me right on the spot.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's impactful. Was the Mac Dre the first Billboard placement? Was
Um,
that the first time you charted?
Um, Dude, I have a lot more. I just haven't ordered them and bought them. They're expensive. You feel me? I got a bunch of them from all the burner albums that I was on as well, because he always charts. I got a bunch to order. I got to get some more.
That's crazy, man. You can fill up the whole wall.
Yeah, but now I've been blessed to be on the pop charts and the hip hop charts. Man, all the way from the early 2000s up until now, the last 25 years. It's consistently in every decade I've been able to chart, man. It's been a blessing.
So dope.
Yeah.
Now, you also mentioned, a book, right? And I
Yeah.
personally found out about it right now talking with you. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I didn't know about that in the research, that I did going deep into your amazing career.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the
So
book.
it's the years of my life, and
Oh,
it's a collection. It's a collection of like 15 short stories that take you on a journey through this crazy roller coaster that's been my life. Anywhere from being in the streets of Brooklyn to being in the golden era of San Francisco and the Bay Area, to being in India studying in an ashram, to being, you know what I'm saying, on Hawaii and the beach, or handcuffed in Las Vegas, or you know what I'm saying, kidnapped in the back of a car in Brooklyn. Like, it's, I'll take you on the journey through the book.
Wow. And is it like a like the stories, or are they more like pictures, or
Nah,
how are you gonna lay it
nah,
out?
it's just, it's a novel. Yeah, it's a novel. It's also, it's my screenplay for my movie that I wrote like 20 years ago. I've
Yeah.
just been sitting on it forever, and yeah, I finally got it, finally typed it all into the computer. So now I've been editing it, and you know, definitely trying to get it out there as soon as possible.
That's so dope. That's so dope. I'm
Right.
excited. I'm
And
excited to hear, probably I mostly listen to books. I'm excited to
right,
listen to the book.
the
The
audio book's available as
audio books
well.
is where it's at. I
All
put
right,
on my
so
little
look, I
echo frames,
already
bro.
recorded the audio book and released it. It's on iTunes. Find it. Check, search Gennessee, The Years of My Life, the book. It's up
Oh,
there. Yep.
I'm gonna go straight look at it.
Yeah.
Cause that's how I'm doing most of my books nowadays. It's like a lot of when I'm out walking and
Of
stuff,
course.
if it's
Yeah.
not music, I'm
Audiobooks is
listening
good.
to books.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It's,
Yeah.
man, at least you're reading still. You know what I'm saying? It's great. And getting that knowledge, boy, sparking those brain
Yo, you
cells.
got
That's
to.
what it's all about.
You got to.
Yeah.
You've taken us through like the golden era hip hop, up until now. You've had an amazing 2025, and we're like barely halfway through the year.
Right.
Um, Talk to us about, there's been a lot of talk in hip hop right now, specifically with some of the stuff happening about AI and
Right.
producers kind
Totally.
of, using AI and all of that hot
Timberland.
topic.
Timberland caused
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
ruckus.
See, you calling people out.
Right.
Um, but how do you feel as a person who's in the Bay, in the
Uh-huh.
kind of,
Right.
technology hub of the world?
Silicon Valley's right
Yeah,
here.
Silicon
Yeah.
Valley right there.
Yeah.
And also a hip hop head and a producer and a person who maintains himself on the cutting edge of technology. Um,
Right.
how do you feel about this amazing innovation that's come to humanity? How are
Yeah.
you kind of using
I
it?
mean, I'm not afraid of it. I think it's wonderful. I think it definitely, you have to draw some lines, and there has to be some type of rules and regulations that are implemented. But I think if people are less scared of it, and use it to make our lives easier and make our lives better and give us more time to do what's really important and stuff like that, I mean, I'm all for it. It's a wonderful thing if you ask me. Like, like I was saying earlier, I always move with the technology, with the MPC, like into the
Yeah,
program. Like, I like to, use the young man tricks, as you would call them, because I'm not trying to get left behind. I'm trying to
nah,
learn all the new stuff and be the best at it. Like, show the kids some tricks. Like, you guys think you're slick. Like, let the old guy, hold on, slow down. Let the old guy show you what's popping.
yeah.
Yeah.
A- And you over the years with all the different releases that you've had, you've done a lot of video work also.
Yeah.
Kind of keep it on that tip of, because that's one of the things the AI is really powerful with
Right.
is some the visual work, even if it's just for background or segues or adding scenes to
Totally.
you could shoot
Yes.
yourself and then what are your thoughts on that? How are you planning to use it?
I mean, think about how much it's grown in only 2 years. Like, for
Crazy.
instance, if you've seen the Will Smith thing, the thing, like the
Yeah, the
difference
side
between
by
Zen,
side.
yeah, side by side, you see how far it's grown. Yeah, shout out to Zen Howe and Sarah Arnold, my two directors that I work with, and Don Lowe, legendary as well.
Yeah.
Kayla D, like that's my film crew right there. We all, work on all the videos, but I think it's great. I think it's great, and I'm gonna be able to make my movie one day. Well, just by making some amazing prompts. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how amazing is that? I know the big dogs don't like it because it's gonna cut into their money at the end of the day. But
They got to
to me,
figure
it's
it
just
out. They
to
got to
me, it's
figure out
spreading
the new
creativity
hustle.
to the world. It's allowing someone who's necessarily might not be creative, but knows how to type some words. They could be a master filmmaker. It's just part of the way the world's changing, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that's dope. It's gonna take, people like yourself and Don Lowe and a small group of
Timberland.
people, right? And Timberland,
Yeah.
right? And like, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 people teams can now do what 30, 40, 50 people teams needed to do before. Yeah.
Facts. And they had to spend, 3, 4 million dollars to do it. Now you can do it with a $250 a month subscription. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And right now it's still in the gold rush of it where it's very young in the game. So like no one knows which program to use, which, you know what I mean? I think it's gonna become more centralized where it's gonna be obvious the tools that the people need to use. I think the smaller ones will fall. The ones that are work really good will end up making it through, and I think it's going to be easier to figure out for like the average person to go in there and make a movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
Amazing.
that's a really I think interesting observation that you just made, which is right now you have all these startups, but you know the Googles, the Chat GPTs, and maybe a couple of other ones, right?
Right.
Grok probably, and
Hmm.
Claude is doing really well. Like it's gonna narrow down like it always does, kind of
Exactly.
the way social
Yep.
media did, right? Social media,
Exactly.
there's like four players.
Yeah. The big fish eat little fish.
Big
Yep.
fishy, little
Hmm.
fish. Yeah, they're gonna
Yep.
take the startups, take their ideas, take their
Ship them
face. Meta's gonna
out.
buy
Ship
Instagram,
them out.
right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And then you buy the suite. You buy the suite, and this one does
The
the
suite
writing.
that
This one does
does
the.
everything. Yeah, because right now they have actually have the capabilities right now to do the videos and the movies, but you have to, you know,
You got to know
create
where
your
to
image
go.
on Mid Journey and take it into Google VO3 after that and animate and then you know what I mean. You have to like jump through a lot
Yeah,
of hoops that like even I don't want to do, and I'm a techie, like I'm a nerd with it, but I don't even
yeah.
want to sit there and do
and
that.
and the
Like that
different
doesn't sound fun.
subscriptions. A
Yeah,
mid journey subscription. The other one that's dope is 11 Lab with the voices,
right,
right? So it's like you got to get the
right,
visual from mid journey, to get the prompting on chat, take it into the voice with 11
exactly,
Lab, take that
exactly.
whole thing and put it into VO3, and you need to have a $20 subscription here, a $20 subscription there,
Yep.
right? Yeah,
Exactly. So
yeah,
like you said, they just need like the suite with everything, the one company. Yep. Come
yeah,
on, Satoshi, bring it
bro.
for us. Let's go.
Yes, yes. You know, as we get kind of towards the end of the interview, just some kind of thoughts from you. Is Satoshi still alive?
Man, is he a real person is the question.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have thoughts on
Man,
that? Is it an enigma
is
for
he
you?
is he of this planet? Is the question.
Is he from the future? I mean, we
Ex-
really start to get into
I'm
really
saying.
interesting conversations.
Exactly. I think it's very scary that he's a mystery man. And I think it's absolutely mind boggling and wild that so many people would invest so much money into something that was created by a mystery man. It's like almost written out of a comic book, like some
Yeah,
type of crazy. I mean, but most of the things that are happening in the world are like that nowadays. It's just like, wow, this is crazy.
yeah.
So, yep. I mean, yes, I do. I think so.
Well, there was something, and it's kind of hard to keep up with information and whether information's real or not. I mean, it's funny that we have to actually like you need it to kind of like go through, get it from different sources and hear it
Right.
enough times until you kind of become invested in something. But I heard, I think it was earlier this year, that like an amount had moved from the Satoshi wallet.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't.
I see this is that thing where I got to go back and kind of double check it because
Right. Right. Right.
the
Fact
news
check.
is
Yeah.
moving a million miles an hour, and the stuff with wars and politics, immigration, the Elon
Totally.
Trump is there's so much information that's kind of like at any other moment in time anything in and of itself would have been the big news.
Right.
But now we're getting that almost every 2 3 days. There's something
Right.
that's kind of like, but yeah, an amount had moved because there's a wallet. This the
Of
Satoshi wallet
course.
that he had mined
Of
like a million
course.
Bitcoin. It's like a million Bitcoin.
Right.
An amount had moved for the first time since Satoshi disappeared.
Wow. I had no clue about
Yeah, and
that.
I'm
That's
I'm
wild.
I'm gonna look it up, and if I find it, I'm gonna send you what I
Awesome.
saw.
Dope.
But it
Yeah.
messed me up because I'm invested in it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Of
it's like
course.
the whole
Of
thing
course.
depends on the fact that he kind of
That
disappeared.
yeah,
That you
exactly.
there's no
He
head
can
of it.
never cash out. The moment he cashes out, it's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, nah, he ain't cashing out, man.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's running up to 300K. We heard it from Genesee right
Yeah.
here
So Genesee,
first.
what's your Bitcoin prediction for 2025 and 2026?
I mean, I think it's gonna be good, and then it's gonna be bad, and then it's gonna be good. I mean, it's the cycle. It's the
Yeah.
cycle, and it's all about hopping on, hopping on, and hopping off, and hopping on. And a lot of people, they're inexperienced traders, so they just buy their amount and hold it forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not mad at that either. I'm not mad at that either because that could that could turn $10,000 into $100,000 one day. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing.
Yeah.
But the way you make money chopping up stuff is you sell it and buy it back and sell it when it's low. So I mean, buy it when it's low and sell it when it's high. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So you got to flip it a little bit here and there.
That's dope. That's
Yeah.
dope, bro.
All right.
Um, as we start to wrap up, I want to make sure that we capture some of what you talked about
Yeah.
and
No
anything else that you want
doubt.
to share. You talked about a new project that's coming up, which is going to be the Bliss Park, right?
Hmm.
Um, so that's going to be a release that's coming up. Can you talk to us because there's what you have as an MC and then on the production end. If you could share with us, what you got coming next as we start to wrap.
Yeah, so I got Bliss Park coming up. Then after that, I got my album Running on Empty coming up, which I'm really excited about. And then 3 albums away. This is crazy. This is how I work, but it got Bay Ridge. It's an album called Bay Ridge, and it's about the neighborhood in Brooklyn that I grew up in. So, I'm always bringing it up, trying to cover both coasts and taking care of the peace
Yeah.
back home, and you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, all of that. But yeah, and then we got a bunch of stuff. I got a new project with Kayla D, called Beautiful Soul that we'll be working on this week and wrapping up. I'm real excited about that. Kalo and Jen, produced by TAZ. Incredible album. We got like 25 songs already, and that's with my old school homies. So I'm really excited about that. The new 5 Star album, just doing the last song or two, and that's all done. We got Shining Timeless 2 by Don Lowe, which is dropping next week, and everybody's real excited about that. Little Flower Nasty, Mikey Mose, and Hal. Yep, all the Noble House, man. We all active, we all working, knocking out a bunch of stuff. Shout out my boy Equipto. Hopefully we can get another one under the
Yeah.
belt. And I'm already been hitting up Straight Paper, like, come on, it's time to get back to work. Let's go, let's go. Because
Yeah.
he has
That's
a ton of
dope.
music. He's got a ton of music stacked, and that's the world needs that. So I'm excited about that as well. Yeah.
That's dope, brother.
Jazzo the Juggernaut, Polo Ness. Me and Polo Ness just finished up our album. So we should be dropping that towards the end of the summer. Real pumped up about that. Yeah, man. The book. Got the book dropping. Just blessed, man. Just being able to knock out all this stuff and leave a legacy of
Yeah.
music. And I always tell my friends, like nowadays I'm not necessarily chasing checks or trying to sell my music. My main focus is making art and just making great art, and everything else comes after that. You know what I mean? If you just let it go, it's gonna come to you. So I just focus on the craft and the art and making some great music, and yeah, just leave a blazing trail, man. So when my son, later on in life, he'll be able to just load it up and be like, "Yo, let me learn about my dad some more today," so he can listen to me and hear the stories about our history and our family and our culture and yeah, man, just leaving my mark on the world. That's all I'm trying to do.
That's beautiful, brother.
Word
It's an
up,
honor to have you on the Cristopolis
man.
show, my brother.
I
Well,
appreciate you. Thanks for reaching out, bro. It's
yeah.
love. It's love.
Yeah.
I watch your show every now and then too, man. I'm gonna be
Appreciate that.
peeping all the time now. I love
Thank
it.
you, my brother.
You're dropping gems.
Thank you, my brother.
Yes.
It's an honor to have you on. What an incredible 2025 you've already had.
Thank you,
And you
bro.
got more packed up
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, we
your
rocking.
discography is incredible as an
Thank you.
MC and as a producer. There's so much we didn't get into because the discography goes too deep. It's
It's
too many
love.
decades of
It's
work. Street Reporters, Los
yes,
Gemelos, Double
yes,
Life, everything, right?
yes,
So
yes.
very, very incredible legacy that you've already created, but you're not done.
Nah,
And I'm looking
bro.
forward to everything else you're dropping in 2025 and beyond, brother.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. It's
Yeah,
love
bro.
for real.
Yeah, bro. All
All
right, we'll
right.
run it back sometime in the future.
Sounds good. Hit me up. Salute. Let's keep in
Absolutely.
contact. Yes.
Absolutely.
All right,
Salute.
my brother. Keep doing what you do. Thank you for everything you're doing for the
Appreciate
culture. We
you.
appreciate you.
All right, brother.
Yep.
Peace.
All right. Love. One.